Alright guys, welcome to part 2 of this video series on market selection. We're going to go and hop on the computer, you're going to look over my shoulder, I'm going to show you guys exactly what we're going to do to select markets. Before we do that though, if you're liking these videos, give it a thumbs up, drop a comment down below, join our land investing Discord, subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you inside. Alright guys, welcome to part 2 of the market selection process video series, whatever you guys want to call this. What you guys are going to do here is you're going to get a peek behind my shoulder as I go through and look at markets. You'll see this in real time. Just like we did in the presentation, we're going to start with our first framework, which is going to be using LandWatch. So LandWatch is the first place for a lot of our ideas when it comes to market selection. Now, this is the part that always trips people up a bit. There's no great way necessarily to select states, right? You could select states based off of macro trends. For example, we know there's folks moving there, there's job growth, there's development, things like that. You go places that you're familiar with, you can go places that you just want to own land in. I mean, most states here in the US have some markets, some counties, some submarkets where there's demand happening, where there's action. And so we just need to suss that out, right? But let's use just a macro trend here. You don't have to be a genius to figure this stuff out. You don't have to be an economist by any means. Florida's been in the news for years. So let's just start with Florida and let's see what happens. Okay. So there's a couple things you guys can do once you're on this page. You can start putting in some filters. I typically hold off on doing this, but the two filters we would use would be parcel size and price. Remember, that'll kind of lead into the hypothesis, right? What's our thesis? What's our hypothesis for our business? And we can kind of plug in that hypothesis and then just narrow down the results that meet our requirements. But to start, I typically like just to get a good read on what's going on just across the board, right? So I'm going to go sold, and I'm going to go click on available or remove available. So now we have sold, and now we have under contract. And what you can do quite literally is just go up here to the county list. Boom. This is where the action's happening, right? And if we want to get one step more granular to get more of a real-time pulse on what's going on, you could also remove this sold tab. And I love being able just to look at under contract. And this is going to give us a real-time pulse on what's happening literally right now. Now, there's some nuance here, right? We're going to want to click on undeveloped. You're going to see we'll get some houses that will pull up that'll kind of cloud the results a little bit. So we typically want to remove any houses. The other thing when it comes to land.com is unfortunately things don't always get updated properly, and so there can be some weird misinformation on here. There can be some stuff that's been under contract for a while and whatnot, but for the most part, it's pretty damn good, right? So the under contract's a good pulse on what's going on today. You can blend the sold and the under contract. Now, land.com's kind of a black box. We don't really know how long those sold filters have been on for. So it could be 2 years, could be a little bit more. So when you click on the sold, you might be seeing some outdated information. And that's why the under contract is really the best real-time pulse. I do recommend it looking at both. There's merit to both. But let's just do under contract in this case. And we'll pull up. You're going to see it's a lot of the same results that we were seeing for the sold and the under contract. It shouldn't change that much. Lee County's at the top. Then we got Charlotte County, Marion County. And then it falls off a pretty good bit as you go down here, right? And so if you're one of these folks that's working down in these counties, you can tell that there's a lot less demand than what's happening here. Now, a couple things to note, right? The size of the county matters, okay? The bigger the county, the more the land's there, the more demand's going to be, or the more sales are going to be happening. But that's why we're going to move on to our second framework, which will give us a good indication on sell-through rates, which is really the best read we can get on demand. Because this is a good place to start, but this is misleading. Lee County is a large county. Same thing with Marion County, really large county. And so it makes sense because there's so much supply out there and there's so much land mass that there's going to be a lot of sales. So that's why we got to get one step more granular. Let's pop on over to Redfin. Don't know why it always brings me up to this Joshua Tree listing, and it's been doing that to me for years. All right, let's start with Lee County, right? That was the one we were looking at. So we'll go Lee County. And I'm not going to track this in the spreadsheet in this video, but I'm going to go through and kind of walk you through just some of the simple math so you could get a sense of how you'd be able to track it. I'm not going to bore you with watching me plug this into a spreadsheet. So we're always going to want to go and click on land, and it's not always the most cooperative. There we go. Okay, so when you come to Redfin, it's always going to pull up the 3-month tab first for sold. We like starting as recent as possible. So we're going to go last month, 597 homes sold. And currently for sale, there's 7,000, geez. So what was this? 500, 7092, and then we've got, so what's that, like 8%, 9% sell through rate on a monthly basis? That's pretty darn good. I mean, I think a phenomenal market is 10 to 15%. That can range a little bit. You got to read between the lines. But for how much supply there is, the fact that 600 homes are turning over, 600 properties are turning over every single month, which is close to 10%, is actually incredible. And there's a reason this is the top dog market, right? The other thing that we can look at just once we see it on the map is boatload of subdivisions. We've got Cape Coral, we've got Fort Myers, so you're in proximity to big population. There's going to be a lot of demand just in the folks that live here, as well as people that are going to be moving into the state. So I like this, right? But again, I got to go and make sure this aligns with my thesis, which in our business, this does not align with our thesis, right? This is going to be more of an infill play. Could you find bigger acreage out there? For sure, but they're going to be few and far between. It's going to be a lot of half acre and below. So you'd want to make sure this actually makes sense for your hypothesis, your business model. But let's kind of keep going down this list. So we got Charlotte County next. Let's go and make some comparisons here in terms of sell-through rates, Charlotte County. And you can see that what we just did there for the 1 month, you do that in the 3 month, you do that in the 6 month, and you kind of keep on peeling it down. So 237 lots sold in the last month. We'll peel it up to for sale. 6,000. So in terms of a sell-through rate, this is nowhere near as good, right? We got 237 divided by 6046. Oops, sorry. 6046 divided by 237. All right. Make sure you cut that part out. Cut the part out with me doing the math in that video. I think I messed it up, so please cut that out. So yeah, what you guys can see here is there's almost the same amount of supply as what we saw in Lee County, but the sell-through rate is substantially lower. And so this is an easy kind of comparison where I'm comparing these two markets, and I can say, wow, same amount of supply, but Lee County has a much higher sell-through rate. I mean, Lee County is almost at double the sell-through rate of what we're seeing here in the last month. Let's peel this back to the last 3 months and see if we can get a better story. It looks pretty darn consistent, right? Doesn't really change a whole lot. So let's kind of move down the list. I'm not loving Charlotte County based off just what I saw there. So far, Lee County is still top dog. Let's go Marion County. Now you're probably wondering, Sumner, does this mean that if I got a deal in a market that doesn't fit this kind of framework that it's not a deal? No, by no means. But if we have no other way to identify where we should be spending our marketing dollars, this is the best process to whittle it down. Otherwise, you're throwing darts at a dartboard. But if you look at our business, right, we do get deals that are not in markets that fit this criteria, but the math makes sense, the deal makes sense. But typically, we're not marketing for those deals, right? Those will come to us in ancillary ways, whether it's from an owner that owns a property at a place that we marketed to, and he owns more land in another place, or an old lead reaching out, or we even get referrals in our business. And so it doesn't mean that we're not going to do a deal just because it's not in a perfect in-demand, hot market. But if I'm having to figure out how am I going to go spend 20 grand on marketing this month, I need a systematic process to suss out what a good market is versus what a not so great market is. And this is the process that we follow. So look at the last month here. 129 lots sold, and we'll kick that up to for sale. And it's going to take a minute to load here. So yeah, not a huge sell-through rate either, right? It's about 5%. So still Lee County has got the highest sell-through rate in terms of what we've seen thus far. This is a ginormous county though, huge county. And you can see this on the map. This is going to definitely have a big range in terms of different properties that we can find here. One of the things I love about Redfin too, is you can see the hot pockets of where the demand's happening, right? I can quickly suss out, okay, down here, Marion Oaks, whatever this subdivision is over here, these areas here, like the southern portion of this county is pretty much where all the activity is happening. And I can suss that out pretty quickly and zoom in and go look at those sales if I want to. Let's go move on to Citrus County. And so this is quite literally the process, right? We're just going to kind of continue down this list and just keep on adding this data. And again, we'd be adding this into our spreadsheet. And then over time, you build this list that gets updated on a monthly basis, and you have just this surefire back-tested database where you can go in there and say, yes, no, yes. And it makes it very easy. Okay, so we got a little over 1,000 properties listed here. Let's pull it up over the last month. 350. So, okay, boom. This is crazy, right? Super strong sell-through rate. So out of everything I just looked at, we've gone through 4 counties here, this is the outstanding champ, like by a huge margin, because there's 350 properties that have sold in the last month, and there's 1,100 listed. That sell-through rate is crazy. That tells us that if we get a deal out here, we got buyers coming to kick down our door, right? If we can increase the sell-through rate or the velocity of our deals, everything else in our business benefits, right? The hardest thing about this land business is not acquiring land. The hardest thing about this land business is selling the land, right? And there's too many markets that you can go buy deals in that's way too hard to sell that property. And so now you're spending all this time on the dispositions. I would rather spend more time on the market research, more time on the acquisitions, and get deals that almost sell themselves, right? It's going to make the process much, much easier. Let's go kick us back over 3 months and see. So I wonder, so 3 months has us at 417, but for whatever reason, the last month, looks like the data, well, I don't know what happened there. The data was giving us misinformation. So 79 out of, bit of a different story. Still not bad, but not crazy. I wonder why it did that. But over the last 3 months, we're at 417, which is way higher than 79 a month. So it must have been a slow month for whatever reason. Even though if you kick this back on the 3-month window, I really like, you've got about 40% of the inventory turning over in a 90-day period. I mean, that is in itself is crazy. The last month wasn't super strong. I don't know why it gave us that misinformation to start. Let's go look at 6 months. Give us a second. So 6 months, the whole entire current inventory would turn over, right? There's 1,100 properties listed. That's turning over every 6 months. That's incredible. Go look at a lot of counties on the southwest of the United States or counties that just aren't very much in demand. You'll never see metrics like that. You'll see properties that have been listed for 6 years in some places. Like, it's crazy, right? So this is a really, really strong county. Even though it gave us misinformation on that first 1 month marker, this is still super strong. And this is why we need to aggregate a large enough sample size between the 1 month, the 3 month, and the 6 month, is there's variance. Counties are going to have slow months, especially here in Q4 of 2022. You got the holidays. There's going to be counties that are slowing down naturally because of that, whether it's because of weather or just folks are generally not as interested in buying land this time of year. But that's why we need to get that full sample size between 30 days, 90 days, and 180 days. So this is top dog for what I've seen thus far. And so you guys can see this process is so easy to repeat time and time again. You just start with a hunch. You start peeling down that process. You go and take the findings from LandWatch, you pop that into Redfin, and then you keep on going down the list. And then you add all that information into a database, a Google Sheet, and over time you continue to update it. And then you have pretty much all the hottest markets at the current time in the US mapped out. Will you need to continue to do market research? For sure, because markets are going to change. Things are going to get really hot. Things are going to cool down for the most part. But a lot of this information will stay relevant for years. It's not like markets are changing on a month-by-month basis necessarily. Florida will be hot for a long time. These counties will be hot for a long time. And so the work that you do on the front end, you can recycle it and profit from it time and time again. What I find so many land investors doing is they wait till the final hour to do their market research, the final hour to do their mailing, and they throw darts at a dartboard and just take whatever comes their way. You don't build a business by doing that, right? Get systematic, follow this process, and watch your land business explode. If you guys want more assistance in growing and scaling your land business, hop on over to landinvestor.co. Our LEA program is booming. We've had dozens and dozens of folks signing up in Q4, and we've really pivoted this to a group coaching model. Not only do you get lifetime access to the LEA course, you get twice weekly group coaching calls for life. Lifetime access to myself and our 2 other assistant coaches. You get lifetime access to our LEA members only Discord group, as well as deal funding within the program. So you can remove the objection, remove the excuse of, Sumner, I don't have enough money to buy these deals. We've got the deal funding secured for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully this was informative. I'll see you guys in the next one.